Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Indie Plus July 2014 game night. This is Pound Game Night. This is our demo game for the month. Pretty excited. Now, first of all, if you just stumbled upon this YouTube channel and you're wondering what in the heck is Indie Plus, we are a collaboration community on Google Plus and across the internet who are interested in small press tabletop RPGs, and we're going to be playing one tonight. Now, this event upholds the Indie Plus community standards. To find out more about those standards, Google for Indie Plus community standards. Please be aware that this game demo and this event may include explicit and/or abusive language, race and gender issues, and Brendan is playing. So, as I already let you know, we have our esteemed guest. I'm just a player. But I'll start alphabetically. First, we have Brendan Conway. How are you doing, Brendan?
I'm doing pretty good, and thank you for warning everybody. Just be careful, okay? If I'm talking and you feel nauseous, leave the room. It'll get better.
Yes, your dose of Brendan will pass. Next, across the pond, we have Chris Tregenza of 66. How are you doing, Chris?
I'm doing good, but I am hot. It's unseasonably, unusually hot for the UK here. You know, it's 11 o'clock at night, and I'm still sweating, so it's hot here.
Okay, well, unfortunately, Chris, while this is an Apocalypse World hack, it does not have hot involved, so you really don't get any bonus for that. Next, we have our ringer, who you may have heard on the excellent podcast, The Jankcast. She's and I mean this in a complimentary way. She's a workhorse in games on demand, and she runs games nonstop. This is the wonderful Jen Martin. How are you, Jen?
I am doing excellent, thank you.
And then, last but not least, off the very successful Kickstarter for Urban Shadows, which is the game we'll be playing tonight, is our host and master of ceremonies, the one, the only, from Magpie Games, Mark Diaz Truman. How are you, Mark?
Hello. I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm excited to be running today.
And I don't know if I said I'm rich, but I'm rich. And I'm going to hand it over to our master of ceremonies. Go for it. Mark.
Awesome. Great. Since we've got all the rigmarole out of the way, I'm going to start today by just explaining a little bit about what Urban Shadows is and how the game today is going to work. I'm the master of ceremonies. I'm not a game master because in some ways my job is to facilitate all the crazy that's going to happen today. But it's not my game. It's not my story. It's our story, and each of us is going to have a significant role to play in it. And part of what we're doing here today is gaming under a philosophy called playing to find out what happens, which means that I don't have an adventure I'm running today. I don't have a particular setup that I'm running. I do have a couple of ideas about the city of Baltimore where we'll be playing and the denizens, both supernatural and mortal, that live there. But I'm going to leave a lot of the setting creation up to the players, and we're going to get into just a moment like the kinds of characters that they're playing. But overall, Urban Shadows is an urban fantasy game, which means it's like Angel or Buffy or Supernatural or Constantine if you've ever read the comics / seen the movie. It's a world in which the average person is not aware that there are monsters, vampires, wizards, supernatural creatures running around, but that those supernatural creatures are very important and they actually like run huge sections of the world and are hidden from mortal eyes. One of my big inspirations, of course, is Blade, which is like the old movie with Wesley Snipes, right? Where there's like all these vampires running around and like nobody notices. I've been working on this project for a while with Andrew Medeiros, who's the primary designer. It's his idea to bring this to life, and we've been talking about it for about 2 years. So we're pretty excited about this version of it. But the main thrust of it is it's very political. So we're going to be talking about the city, the denizens that live in the city, their relationships with each other, and who has power and territory and things like that. That's going to be our main focus. Now, generally, we use this system called playbooks or archetypes, where each person picks one of several archetypes from a couple of factions. So we've got a faction of mortality that's mostly revolved around mortals and their lives. The mortality faction includes like regular cops, people who work for City Hall, ordinary folks, but it also includes a couple of player character potential types who live at the edges of that, right? Who maybe are starting to reach the point at which they're losing track of the humans that they generally live with. And we have two people playing characters from that faction today. One of them is Chris, who will be playing a hunter, somebody who hunts the supernatural, and the other is Jen, who's playing an aware, somebody who's become aware of this supernatural world on the other side of humanity's view. We also have the faction known as Knight, which is filled with characters who are sort of street level. Usually they used to be human. It's like vampires, werewolves, ghosts, things that kind of haunt the day-to-day. We have one person from that faction today, which is going to be Brendan's vampire. And then we also have power, which is usually mortals who have acquired some sort of supernatural power, like wizards or oracles or psychics. And we have the esteemed Rich playing Wesley St. Croix, I believe is the proper pronunciation. Who's a wizard.
It's St. Croix.
St. Croix, I apologize. Yes, St. Croix. And wizards, of course, are the most pretentious of all the supernatural creatures. Right? There's a faction that's not represented in any of our characters, which is the faction of Wild. And Wild are the others, the outsiders, the fairies, the demons, the things that really came from somewhere else. And so we don't have any player characters of that today, but we're going to see characters like that who live in the city. Now we're going to be playing in the city of Baltimore, and the most important thing I'm going to say about the city of Baltimore in terms of our setting is that the city of Baltimore, the Wild faction, is run by a character known as the Raven. And nobody, like, people talk about meeting the Raven, but maybe nobody's done it. And it's not really clear if it is a demon, a fairy. All that's known is that if you are in the Wild faction, you probably work for the Raven, even across lines of being a fairy or demon, which is unusual. Most of the time, factions are just communities. There are people that kind of know each other and might have conflicts within each other or within the faction. But in this case, the Raven has a pretty iron grip on the Wild faction. And so as we go around, we're going to ask some questions about your factions, who's important, who runs them, what matters. And my goal is just to ask you questions and for you to answer them as you think would be interesting from your character's perspective. Okay? When we get to the actual rolling of dice, we're going to be doing some using a system. We're using a system more broadly called the Powered by the Apocalypse system, which gives a big shout out to Vincent Baker, who wrote Apocalypse World back in 2010, which is this amazing game about being in a post-apocalyptic community. And we've used a bunch of those mechanics here for Urban Shadows, but they've been changed significantly. So you don't need to know anything about Apocalypse World to play here today, but it's a good to just sort of acknowledge that that's where that's coming from. So we'll get to how we roll dice later. But right now, I just want us to introduce the characters and talk about the world and kind of get us centered in Baltimore. Like, what's the life that you all live, and what is sort of your day-to-day routine like, and who are the characters that might matter to you? And once we do that, then we're going to go around and do debts, which is basically a mechanism for determining who owes who what for what's happened in the past. So let's go ahead and start on the left with Brendan. Brendan, you want us to walk us through your character and tell us what you're all about?
Sure. So I'm playing Nathaniel Chen. Nathaniel Chen is youngish, like mid-20s, maybe later 20s, Asian male in everyday clothing. His demeanor is seductive. Basically, Nathaniel is still relatively young, but he's doing pretty well for himself at this point. He got his MBA. He came to the city because he got a good job offer, and he's like, yeah, life's looking up. It's great. He would go to the party scene regularly and have fun at clubs and have plenty of fun sleeping around and whatnot. And of course, eventually, a vampire named Ash. She basically thought it would be funny to turn me into a vampire. She did it because it made her giggle, not because I want him with me. No, nothing like that. She just thought it would be fucking dumbass kid. So she turned me into a vampire, and I call her an asshole. However, I think I am still probably totally just entranced and or enamored by her. Even though I don't think she thinks very much of me.
Okay.
She calls me delightful entertainment.
Great.
So yeah, and since I've become a vampire, things have changed for me a little bit. I don't think I've been a vampire for too long, but long enough to come generally to terms with it. And I think things have changed, but honestly, maybe not as much as you might think. I don't actually drink blood. I feed on emotions, and I've still found that I can get my kicks through my pattern of going to bars and the clubs and as I wrote, I said, look, I do my best not to hurt anybody. I just take what I need, and they come away thinking they've had a good time. I'm a good guy, all right? Really.
Great, cool. So a couple questions. So first of all, where did you move from? You're not from Baltimore. You moved here from somewhere else.
Yeah, Probably somewhere, I think, more rural. Like I probably came from one of those families where I was pushed for success, but I like there was nothing really around there, and ultimately was like, I'm gonna make my life, and I'm gonna do it in a better place. And Baltimore may not be the greatest place, but it's still like I found a job here. I'm ready to fully pave my path in the world, moving up, got my MBA, being a businessman, that kind of thing. So.
Okay. And so do your parents know that you're a vampire?
Fuck no.
So they still think that you work and live in the city. And,
hell yeah.
and that things are going well. Okay,
Yeah,
great,
yeah.
great. And what are, like, you said that you're Asian, like what specific heritage do you have?
I think Chinese.
Chinese, okay. And are you like a third generation Chinese American?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
All right, so your parents were born here. Their
Yes.
parents immigrated here from China. Okay, so
Yes.
so this in some ways your parents are like, you've made it. They had this attitude. You've made it. We're very
Right.
proud of you. Right. Okay. Great.
Yeah, businessman. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Now, because you're part of the Knight faction, right? You've left a lot of your mortal life behind, right? So you're not really a part of mortality anymore.
Right.
How do vampires work? Do you have like territory? Like, how does it work? Like, do you have to pay tribute to somebody, or it's kind of like every vampire's out for themselves?
So I think that vampires. That's an interesting question. I guess you have to pay tribute, right? Like some people might have their own little sections, but it's not like every vampire is their own specific territory. So instead, it's more like there are large, powerful vampires who control particular major areas, and as long as you pay a certain amount of tribute of whatever that might be, different vampires might ask for different things. Then it's fine if you hunt in that area. It's fine if you go to that area. But if you don't pay, then they will come and hunt your ass down, and you will not be in existence for much longer.
I see. Cool. Good. So, do all vampires feed on emotions?
I think, yeah, I think so. I think that the blood is just. Some vampires do drink blood, not because they have to, but because they find it's a really great way to get emotions. You get a lot of fear out of somebody when you've got your mouth on their neck sucking their blood. So.
Okay, cool, good. And then finally, like, whose territory do you live in, and where do you live?
Whose territory do I live in? It's a good question. I mean, well, I guess it would sort of fit things. I live in Ash's territory. It's her territory.
Right.
And that's why, for at least so far, I've been relatively safe. Because while she enjoys to no end dicking around with me, she also isn't like she's not going to be one of the ones who's just going to kill me outright.
I see. Cool. Okay.
And where do I live? Somewhere in Baltimore.
So you probably went to Hopkins for your MBA?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you still live around the university?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Okay, cool. So you live like north of 1, right, and east of 83. So we've got a little map here that we can all sort of check out. It's the beauty of Google Maps and online gaming. You kind of live in this area right around Hopkins.
Sure.
Perfect. Cool. Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Good. Okay, Chris. Let's hear from you. Tell us about your hunter.
I am playing Samuel Rothschild. Samuel, he's always called Samuel. He's sort of an early 30-something successful businessman. He's really quite slick, bit of a hipster. Not totally obnoxious hipster, but there's a definite hipster vibe to him. And he runs, for all intents and purposes, as far as everybody knows, he runs a upmarket furniture store. Really high ticket value items, very stylish. A single cushion will cost $100. Really, it just milks money out of stupid people, basically.
Okay.
And that's his cover. But what he likes to do, what he actually spends most of his time doing, is hunting down vampires. But specifically vampires. He's not bothered about anything else, and he likes to be very up close and personal when he kills them. His weapons are things where he's going to be looking in their eyes, in physical contact with them while he kills them.
Great. So I love this idea that you have this fancy furniture store. It's probably down by the right south of downtown, by the docks area. with like a lot of fancy, like touristy businesses?
Well, the only thing I know about Baltimore is that I've watched The Wire. So it's all full of drug users as far as I can tell. But I do remember, yeah, the sort of the dock front redevelopment was a plot line. So yeah, sherry yuppie apartments, that's definitely where I will be.
That's great. So like you serve this whole like mixed use community where all these liberals who feel like they've done really good by buying an apartment over a business, like come and buy their like $1,000 couches.
Yeah, that's right.
Perfect. Good. Okay. And is the store? Do you run the store by yourself? So it's like open at weird hours, and you're just there when you're there.
No, it's a perfect proper store. I probably have a manager who probably does it on a day-to-day business, and I probably open it up for select evening dues if it sort of suits my hunting activities.
Okay, cool. So we'll say your manager's name is Mary, and she's a local. She's lived here a long time. African American woman, pretty young. I think she probably went to Hopkins for her MBA, right? And so she manages the business for you.
Yeah.
And does she know you're a hunter?
No. I keep that very, very private. It is absolutely discreet. And like my background, the background is I came to Baltimore 7 years ago, and no one really knows what I did before that.
Okay, cool. Great. And do you have like any sort of accent or anything that would give away where you're from, or just like is this a mystery?
I've got a very generic sort of East Coast America, but one of those accents which, to be honest, could be from anywhere.
Okay, great, cool. So you're kind of an outsider. You stand out as being definitely not from Baltimore, right?
Yeah, certainly to a local.
Awesome, good. So you say that you hunt vampires. So are these the same vampires? Are these the psychic vampires like Nathaniel, or are those the vampires that you hunt?
I don't really care. I'm after all the fuckers. I'm particularly after the ones who hang around in bars, because I'm very smart and hipster. I've got the posh car, fast car. I like to go to these nightclubs, and I pass for a vampire. I'm very good at passing for a vampire, so people just accept me, and I go in, and then in the toilet cubicle or something, I will very quietly and swiftly kill one of them, and just then wander away, and sometime later the body will be discovered.
Yeah. Are there bodies? Like, when vampires die, do they leave a body behind?
Oh, cool. That's a good question. Well, I'm going to say yes, because I think they do, because I think it makes life interesting if they leave a body behind.
Okay, cool. So so when you kill a vampire, you get like something, like some corpse remains, right? Maybe they just die, but some corpse remains. So you wander out. So you say there's some pre-questions that we asked for the game that we're kind of skipping through to make it quick, but you said in your prey that you made a deal with something for some magic that allows you to pass as a vampire. So who did you make this deal with?
I think it's going to have to be someone who can do magic. I see it as being magic. Maybe it's actually a magic pendant or something I wear, and then at a superficial glance, from a vampire, they recognise me as a vampire, so they don't treat me as prey, and that's how I get close to them. But if they stop and look really hard at me, I'm definitely not a vampire.
Great, good. So do you want that to be from the Raven, that the Raven gave it to you?
Yeah, why not? It seems like a good tie-in.
Okay, great. So you've never met her, but a gift was delivered to you by some of her agents to help you in your quest here. That's great. Okay, so your characters do know each other, and generally we're going to talk later about your relationships with each other, but you do know each other. So what's your relationship with Nathaniel like? Are you actively hunting him? Are you, do you generally care about small fish like Nathaniel? Like, what's your relationship with him like right now?
I like killing them. So it really doesn't matter. I mean, to say whether I like or dislike a vampire, I mean, it's like, do I like a slug? It's that sort of level. But I will definitely know him. But we'll probably go to the same clubs. I've certainly seen him about, probably talked to him a few times, and he's just on my mental checklist. One day I'll get round to him.
Yes, that sounds good. Good, cool. Okay, Wesley, let's talk. Let's see. Hear about you.
Oh, yeah, sure. So, Wesley St. Croix is kind of my performance name.
Yeah, yeah.
My real name is Wesley Washington, which is cool. I like the name. I am I'm biracial. My mom is from, well, she's shown me. I don't really go there because it's kind of downtown. But she made her way up and got a scholarship to Hopkins, and that's where she met my dad. We live out in the suburbs. It's pretty nice. To be honest with you, most of my knowledge of Baltimore, that is from The Wire. It's
Good, good.
downtown.
So you said it's your stage name. What do you mean by your stage name? Do you actually perform?
Well, I'm a street magician. It's kind of crazy because it was all fake up until 6-7 months ago, and then just stuff started to click. I found this ring, and things started really happening at that point.
Cool. So where did you find the ring?
Oh, good question. I think I found the ring. It was for laughs. I've been couch surfing with some people who I know. I never went to college, but I hang out with that crowd, and we ended up at like a pawn shop, and it looked kind of cool. So I just picked it up.
Great. Do you know did the staff of the pawn shop say anything about you buying the ring, or was it just kind of like a normal transaction?
It was weird. I mean, he said, "Are you sure you want this ring?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." I mean, it's like costume jewelry, right? Look, it's kind of gaudy, to be honest with you, but I'll pull it off.
Yeah, it's like a big ruby ring, right? It says on the nose.
It's
like a
kind of straight
Cool.
off a Hollywood set of like some R.L. Stein Goosebumps movie or something. But
right. Yeah. Okay. And you thought you'd get this ring because it would spice up your act, right?
yeah. I mean, it's all up. That's why I wear the clothes with the the crazy little poet shirty stuff and the little guy from Scooby Doo ascot type dealing.
Cool. Cool. And you do you perform downtown? Like, is that your?
It's only during the day, man. I mean,
yeah, it gets kind of rough at night.
Yeah.
Cool. Good. So as you've been exposed to the ring and to you've kind of gotten into talking with other wizards and things like that, you know that there are other people that now kind of like nod at you and smile and talk with you about the politics of the city that are now completely different. You've even got to know, according to your factions, you've gotten to know some of the wild as well, right? The demons and fairies and things. So how do you feel about being thrust into this world where people treat you with a certain amount of respect, but like how do you feel about this sort of newfound position you have?
After like power watching Lord of Illusions and writing down a bunch of notes and realizing that wasn't helping, and then I read all of Dresden and that wasn't helping at all. All that stuff's crap.
Right. Yeah. None of it adds up.
Actually, running into these people's really scary, but most of them are pretty hot. So, good with the bad.
It works out. You have a sanctum. Tell us about your sanctum.
Well, I mean, to call it a sanctum is a little generous. My buddy Vinny has like an aquarium, not aquarium, like a fish shop, like a pet shop, but it's mostly aquarium stuff. He's really into that stuff.
Yeah.
And he's not doing so great. So, there's a space in the back, and I kind of set up my sanctum there and been messing around with it, like a guy with his workshop type deal, except
cool.
Casting things. It's kind of
cool. So you say you have magical booby traps, which makes sense. Scattering of ancient relics. So where have you just been going around finding these relics? Like you've been kind of poking around.
It's weird. The ring kind of like hums or burns whenever I'm near stuff that's pretty cool. I've picked up some awesome deals.
Yeah, because people don't know what stuff's actually worth.
No, I really thought about setting up like a magical eBay, but I thought that might not be the best idea.
Yeah.
For bargain hunters who will kill me.
Yeah, you have a focus circle that you've created, and a portal to another dimension. How did you end up with a portal to another dimension?
Oh, it's like a mirror, but people will show up through it. I haven't gone through, and nothing's come through.
Nothing's come through. You don't know where it goes.
No.
Okay. Awesome. Good, man. Cool. So last question. You said you're biracial. Is your mom black, white? Like what?
My mom's African American.
Okay. And she's from the South.
No, she's from Baltimore.
She's from Baltimore. Okay.
Yeah.
And your dad is white?
Uh-huh.
And they live in the suburbs still?
Yes.
Okay. And do they know that you've acquired some actual magic powers?
No, they wouldn't believe me. They think I'm a kind of a loser.
Yeah, because they both finished college at Hopkins. They were both successful folks. What do they do? What kind of professions do they have?
Oh, well, Mom works for an accountant office.
Okay.
She's working her way through a CPA, and they actually met in college. He was an adjunct professor. He's gone on. He mostly writes papers for grants and stuff.
Cool. Great. Awesome. Thank you, Wesley. Okay, last but not least, Fiona. Let's hear about your Aware.
So I'm playing Fiona Wood, the Aware. I am actually originally from Scotland. I moved to the States when I was 14 years old. Let's see. I'm a professional photographer. I like to do landscapes, but of course that doesn't necessarily always pay the bills, so I'm not above taking pictures and selling them to newspapers. Let's see. My demeanor is calm. I wear everyday clothing. I have a roommate, which is fun. Her name is Holly. What else?
Where do you live?
I know absolutely nothing about Baltimore, so
I put up a map in the chat window.
Wherever.
Yeah. Do you live like downtown? Do you live like close to the university? Do you live in the suburbs?
Probably close to downtown.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. I mean, because I have a roommate, so we can afford maybe a nicer place than if we were living on our own.
Great. And what's your relationship with her like?
It's pretty good. We haven't lived together for terribly long, maybe like 6 months, 9 months. But she's way better than my last roommate, who disappeared for no reason.
And have you looked into that disappearance? Is that what? Oh yeah. How did you learn about the supernatural? Let's go over that.
Oh, how did I learn about the supernatural?
Yeah.
During college, I went back to Scotland for like a study abroad thing, and I met a Selkie named Claire. And she told me a little bit about things, although I was a little surprised at the difference between, some Selkies on the coast in Scotland and, vampires in Baltimore. But
Right. So you were exposed to the supernatural then, and then this roommate who disappeared, did you look into that at all?
of course I looked into that. I'm still looking into that.
You're still looking into that, okay.
Yes.
And what was your roommate's name?
Oh, I didn't come up with that. Maria.
Okay. And did you meet, like, how long ago did she disappear? It has to be long enough for you to find a new roommate, so it's got to be at least a couple months.
Yeah, I've been living with Holly for, I said, like 6 to 9 months. We'll say 6 months.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, about 6 months ago.
And you're still looking into Maria's disappearance.
Mm-hmm.
So, apparently the police have probably declared her dead, or like,
absolutely,
she's a missing
yeah.
person. Her family came and got all her stuff, and like she probably from.
Everybody assumes she just moved away.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And her family, of course, is distraught because they're like, you would never do this. She's such a good girl. She was going to school. Right. Yeah. What did you tell them? Did you tell them that you would look into it?
No, because I don't really like her parents.
They're like overbearing and obnoxious.
Well, they don't. I'm a photographer. Like they wanted their daughter to, move out and have her own house, and yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So you, what is it about Baltimore that attracts you? What keeps you here, even though you're essentially a foreigner?
I think it's like just looking into this stuff. Like I'm just trying to figure all the things out, and I keep thinking that I'll move back home, but then I find something else, and it's like, well, I need to find that thing out.
Cool, good. So for your factions, which represent how well you kind of understand stuff, you have some sense that night exists, that there are werewolves and vampires and things like that, and some sense of power. But you're very unfamiliar with wild. So why are you so unfamiliar with the with one of the most powerful factions of the city?
I don't think I know. Like, I'm obviously very curious. I'm a photographer. I've been digging into things, and I think maybe someone or someone's are, purposely obfuscating around me.
Cool. Good. Okay, that sounds great. So we've got a good sense of our city now. I'm excited to see these relationships develop. So what we're going to do now is go around and do debt moves. And the way that the debt moves work is that, and we'll start with Nathaniel. Nathaniel's going to read one of his debt moves. So for example, he could read the first one. Nathaniel, why don't you just go ahead and read that one?
Sure. So my first debt is someone makes sure you get fed regularly. You owe them 2 deaths.
Okay, so what's going to happen is that he's going to say, okay, one of the 3 of you, or an NPC. I mean, we like to stick with PCs because it's more fun for you all to be closer tied together. Is going to be this person, and whoever that person is should write down on their sheets that Nathaniel owes them for making sure he gets fed, and then put 2 tick marks by it. Right. So say there's 2 debts I have to spend that are attached to this thing that I have done for him. Okay. So Nathaniel, who makes sure you get fed regularly?
That's a really good question. I don't think no one is especially leaping out because I can come up with an explanation that requires a little bit of looking for everyone, including crazy Mr. McSlayer. Because I figure he might be feeding me so that I lead him to other vampires, which is super dark.
Yeah. It's very possible you're like the lowest fish, and he's kind of got you on his hook, and he uses you to get into other vampires. That's pretty cool.
I mean, that's super dark, but let's. Oh God.
Yeah, that sounds great. Okay, cool.
Right.
So it's Samuel who makes sure you get fed regularly. Samuel, what do you do to make sure that Nathaniel gets fed regularly? How do you make sure he gets fed?
I don't think he really sort of knows what I do. I think what I do is in the nightclubs, I sort of act as his wingman, make sure I sort of steer him towards particular people. People who aren't particularly vulnerable. I try to keep it sort of vaguely ethical.
Yeah.
In a very loose sort of sense of the word.
Right.
And so I sort of wingman him, and I'm sort of basically I sort of almost pimping him out.
Yeah, and in response, because of that, he gets you access to places that gets you in, right? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And what's important about these debts, right, is that the person who the debt is owed to is the one who wants to write it down, because you're going to be the one who can spend it.
That's
right?
me, isn't it?
Right, that's you. And then 2, the debt has to be known. It can't be like, oh, this is all a secret, because if it's not known, you can't call it in. You can't be like, hey, Fiona, that secret thing I've been doing that's been helping you? Right? You're like, no, I have no idea what you're talking about. So it has to be known, right? It has to be public, at least between the 2 of you.
That's what I was going to ask. So when you say known, it means it has to be known between us, but not necessarily widely known.
That's right. Yep, it has to be known between the 2 of you.
I don't see it as something we've discussed, but I think he's probably really smart enough to realise that's what he's doing, and it sort of works for him. So,
exactly. Yeah. Totally. Okay. Good. So Samuel, let's go ahead and have you pick the next debt. Which debt do you want to use?
I've got someone has enlisted you to protect them from something very dangerous. They owe you a debt. So I mean, imagine something very dangerous. Well, it could be anything, and though I'm good at vampires, and if we go for something else, I'm not a very good protector, to be honest.
That's okay. Which person do you think did this? Let's focus on them.
I think Jen. I could just see. Fiona's getting. She got into trouble one time, or I saw her in a dangerous place, and I sort of steered her away.
So she's been asking a lot of questions about Maria going missing, and possibly this werewolf that she thinks might be involved in it. And she could have had some run-in with some vampires, so it's possible they may be looking for her. So would it make sense, Fiona, for you to have asked for help with that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Cool, good. Okay, so Samuel, because it's your debt, right? You You get to pick who it is, but we're all going to try to make it make sense together. And then, so who is it? What does it say? Take one, give them one debt, or they owe you?
They owe you a debt.
Great. So Fiona owes you one debt for helping to protect her from the vampires.
So I write that one down. Yeah.
Yep, you write that one down too. So, all right, Wesley, how about you?
Someone's trying to help me keep my demons at bay. I think I owe them a debt. Perhaps Fiona?
Okay, good.
Yeah. What do you think about that, Fiona?
What does Fiona do to help you keep your demons at bay, Wesley?
That's a good question. What kind of demons do you have?
I don't have any demons. That's what's crazy. This is a great life. I'm really stuck on that one.
Well, if you think about some of your demons could be the way that your parents think about you, and sort of like the way that you feel kind of overwhelmed by all of this new politics, right? So it could be that Fiona helps you make sense of stuff, or at least is a confidant that you talk to.
Or, well, if we go non-magical, maybe Fiona's posing as Wesley's girlfriend?
I had that same thought.
All right, great. So when your parents have come to visit, you've trotted out Fiona as this person that is gonna, one day this relationship's gonna work out, right? Okay, good, that's cool. So you owe them a debt, right? You owe her a debt for pretending to be this when your parents come around.
Cool. Oh, and it appears that Mark may have frozen, or this is a dramatic pause. I'm assuming technical difficulties.
I'm back. Yes.
Yes.
Welcome back.
Oh, wait, sorry about that. So Fiona.
Yes. I'm going to go with I'm leveraging dirt I have on someone to get their help with something. I actually think that's Samuel. That's how he's protecting me, because I'm leveraging dirt on him.
Good.
But I'm not sure what kind of dirt it is.
Well, he wants to be very secret, so I would imagine
right.
just exposing him.
Knowing that he's a hunter, yeah.
Knowing that he's a hunter, yeah.
Oh, you have pictures of it, right?
Yeah.
Of course I have pictures of it. Nice.
That's great.
So Samuel, I owe you a debt. So that's 2.
Yeah. So, and the reason she owes you is because she's explicitly like, you have to do this for me, or I'm going to expose you, and you're kind of like, okay, fine, I'm going along with this, but it's crazy, right? It's like a lot to ask of this for this to happen. All right, Nathaniel.
Someone relies on you for their fix. They owe you a debt. Her. Alright, so someone relies on me for their fix, so you have to need a fix. Does Wesley or Fiona need a fix? Who do I want under my thumb? And I'm also looking ahead to my next one. Let's see. Let's go with... Let's go with Wesley.
Okay. And Wesley, what kind of fix do you need from Nathaniel?
So you drink emotions, right? So I just offload problems to you. Like we go out and we drink, and I just kind of tell you, man, my parents are after me again.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, here we go.
And it's like, and yeah, he sort of drinks those emotions up, and you feel a lot better having gotten rid of them.
Totally better.
Okay,
It's
good.
a great relationship.
That's great. Okay, Samuel.
Now, does he owe me or do I owe him? I'm sorry, I'm just trying to make sure.
Yeah, no, that's good. Samuel?
You owe me.
That's right. Yeah,
Dang it.
for helping him out. All right, Samuel.
Okay, my next one is someone keeps you equipped and supplied. You owe them 2 debts. Now, I need various sort of magical devices and weapons to do me. So I think this is coming from Wesley. I think, with his ring and his detective art relic sort of approach to life, I sort of, he supplies me. So Wesley, I owe you 2 debts.
Yes.
Great. Cool. Wesley, how about you?
My next one is someone is my go-to when I get into trouble. That's got to be Sam, right? So I feed him weapons. I get in trouble. He goes and kills it.
Samuel, please.
Sure, Sam. No problem.
And you owe them
I owe him 2 debts.
2 debts. Okay. And Fiona.
Someone thinks they're protecting me, but it's really more like I'm protecting them. You owe each other a debt. I think that's Wesley.
Okay. Cool. Good. So you both owe each other a debt for protecting each other. Great.
Mm-hmm.
And have you told him about the vampires that are after you?
No.
No. Good. Okay. And
you could handle it like I handle it.
yeah, right. Exactly. Okay, Nathaniel, how about you?
Someone bears responsibility for you becoming a vampire. They owe you a debt. Fiona!
How did Fiona get involved in making you a vampire?
That's a really good question. I'm wondering if it could be something like Fiona pissed off Ash, and that's part of why Ash decided I needed turning.
Aha!
That's great, yeah. So, Fiona, did you go to Hopkins as well?
Sure, yes.
Okay, cool. So maybe did you and Nathaniel date at Hopkins, and that's Ash turned him to fuck with you?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's really cool. All right, good. So he got turned into a vampire, and then of course was not really boyfriend material anymore. And Ash just kind of laughed at you about this. So did you know Ash was a vampire at the time?
Are you talking to me?
Talking to Fiona.
Oh, I suspected, but I wasn't totally sure.
Oh, maybe you were snooping around,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why she was like,
Yep,
"Oh, you
taking
snoop around?
pictures.
Now your boyfriend's a vampire. Good luck." Okay, good stuff. Good. All right, and Samuel.
My final one is you consider someone a friend even though the friendship keeps bringing you trouble. They owe you a debt. I think that is going to be Wesley again, actually. I think they were sort of like surfacing very different people, but something about his parents and background where we just sort of bond. And so that one's Wesley. They owe you a debt, so I have that one. So I like that one down.
Wesley.
My last one, I was just trying to read in the document there, is Samuel's debt to me. My last one is, I'm helping someone keep a dangerous secret. They owe me a debt.
Great.
I'm going to go with Nathaniel. Do you think I know that you're the lure for the vampire hunter? How do you feel about that, Nathaniel?
Sure. That I'm the thing that lets him kill people, and therefore the dangerous secret is that if that got out, I would be in deep shit. Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, that's good. Cool. And Fiona?
Someone told me their secrets, and I haven't told anyone about them yet. They owe me 2 debts. I think that's Nathaniel.
So he told you he's a vampire?
Yeah.
Or more than that?
Oh, maybe. Sorry.
Sorry, nothing.
Maybe he told me a little bit more about Ash.
Okay. So he's told you something about sort of the power structure of the vampires in the city.
Yeah.
And you now that you know, you're sort of equipped with this knowledge. So did you and Nathaniel break up when he became a vampire, just on general, like, I don't date vampires on principle, or like was that sort of the last straw in an otherwise not very solid relationship?
I kind of think that was the last straw in a not terribly solid relationship.
So he disappeared for like a couple weeks or something.
Right, yeah. And then he wanted to go to the clubs all the time, and he didn't care about what I was doing.
Yeah. He just got kind of distant. That's great. Good. Okay, excellent. So I think we've got everything sorted. Everybody's got their debts. Does anybody have any questions about debts? No? Cool. You want to make sure when you write them down that you say what they're for, okay? Because when you cash them in, you're going to want to be able to reference them and say, oh yeah, remember how you owe me for X? Then that's when you cash them in. All right, so let's talk a little bit about how the mechanics work here. So what we're going to do is we're going to frame some scenes and play out some scenes that make sense for the story that we've already gotten rolling. And during that, there's going to be times where you tell me you want to do stuff. Sometimes be like, I tie my shoes. And I'm going to be like, great, those shoes are tied. Look at them, tied, no problem, right? And sometimes you're going to be like, I shoot the vampire in the other building with my sniper rifle. in which case I'm going to be like, well, let's see if that happens. And the key here is it's not just that you don't know what's going to happen, it's also that I don't know what's going to happen. If I know what's going to happen, you're like, I shoot this guy with a shotgun at point blank range, I hope I hit him, and in my head I'm like, yeah, he's not really wearing any armor and he's just like a dude. Yeah, you kill him. I'm not going to make you roll for that either. But when I don't know what's going to happen, like, oh, the sniper rifle to another building, I don't know, man, let's see. That's when you're going to roll dice. Okay? And to make things easier, to kind of make the fiction fit this kind of story, we've created a number of what we call moves. And what moves are is they're basically little bits of like programming that say, hey, this thing is happening, we're going to roll some dice, and this move is going to tell us what to do. So one of the moves, for example, that's pretty easy to understand is Unleash. So Brendan, can you read Unleash for me off the basic move sheet, and we'll talk about how it would work if we were using it during the game?
Sure. So Unleash. When you unleash an attack on someone, roll with blood. On a hit, you inflict harm as established and choose one, either inflict terrible harm or take something from them. On a 7 to 9, choose one from below as well. They inflict harm on you, or you find yourself in a bad spot.
Awesome. So this is a great move just because it's simple. So the first part is it has a trigger. It has something that you have to do in the game, in the fiction, in the story, for us to say that the move is going to trigger it. It's when you unleash an attack on someone. So this is like, I am unleashing, I'm punching at you, I'm kicking, I'm doing everything I can. If you're like, I just punched somebody one time and then walk away, I might just say, yeah, you punch them and they fall to the ground. It's not, you're not unleashing on them in any sort of real sense, right? But let's say that Nathaniel is going to unleash on a bartender that's insulted him one too many times. He's just lost his cool and he's like vampire freaks out on it. Okay? Then what we would do is we would say, great, you're going to roll with blood. So Nathaniel, what's your blood score?
My blood is 2.
Great, so that's pretty solid blood. Like, actually, Nathaniel's pretty good at like ripping people's heads off and being angry and upset and violent because he's a vampire. So what he's going to do is he's going to roll 2d6 and add his blood score to it. So go ahead and roll, Nathaniel.
Okay. Dice stream 2d6. Yeah.
Boom. So this is an incredibly successful roll of 6 and 6, which will be the best roll Brendan has all night and the only time that things go his way. For now, it'll be a cascade of failure. So he doesn't just have a 12, he has a 14. It's incredible. It's way off the charts. He beats 10, no problem. When you get a 10 or higher, that's usually what we call a full hit, like a strong hit. He's going to get what he wants, and maybe he'll even get something a little extra. So Nathaniel reaches across the bar and just grabs this bartender. And what's the next part of the move after roll with blood? Nathaniel, what does it say?
On a hit, you inflict harm as established.
So if you're just grabbing a guy with your hands, you're a vampire, you probably do 1 or 2 harm, right? Because
Sure.
you're just grabbing him, right? If you were shooting him, it'd be like 2 or 3 harm. If you're like throwing a grenade at him, that's like 4 harm. That's all dependent on the weapon, okay? So, and then after that?
And I get to choose one. I get to either inflict terrible harm or take something from him.
Okay, so in that case, he can inflict terrible harm, and we would say, wow, you grab this bartender and like slam him against the bar, pick up a glass and break it against his head, and then like bite him, right? Like inflict terrible harm. It's not just like an extra harm. It's like, man, you're a crazy person. Like you look like you're a so-called killer. Or you could take something from him. Maybe you bounce his head against the bar and take his keys off his belt and push him back behind. Right? So those are some of the outcomes that can happen. Now, if it's a 7 to 9. He gets to inflict his harm, but he has something that maybe isn't so good happen, a mixed success. So in those cases, what are the 7 to 9 results again, Brendan?
They inflict harm on you, or you find yourself in a bad spot.
Awesome. So it could be that like the bartender manages to get to a knife or something on the counter and slams it into Nathaniel's shoulder to inflict harm back on him. Or it could be that the security guards see him wrestling with the bartender and come over and try to intervene and put him in a spot. Okay, it's up to Brendan to choose which one of those 2 things he wants. Now, finally, if he ends up with a total of 6 or less, I get to make a move. And it means that I get to push the story in an interesting direction. It doesn't mean that you failed. It could be that I tell you, oh, you totally succeeded. You succeed so well that things go poorly for you. Either because maybe the guy you killed isn't the guy you thought it was, or the lock you picked reveals something behind the other side that's horrific and terrible and that you don't like at all, right? It's up to me to keep the story interesting. But a 6- is not a failure, it's a miss. So we're going to push the story in a new direction. Okay? So all of your basic moves are things that I'm going to prompt you for, but also feel free to jump in and say, hey, I think I might be trying to let it out, or I might be trying to keep my cool, or I might be trying to do whatever, because I'm happy to have you roll. Okay? Are there any questions about the moves, the basic moves? No? Okay. In addition to the basic moves, you also have a set of what are called faction moves. And faction moves are basically having to do with the politics of the city. So, for example, if you want to go see a vampire friend for a particular resource, you'd roll hit the streets, which means you roll with faction instead of with blood or mind or spirit, right? So you're going to be rolling with a factional stat instead of with the normal character stats. We'll talk about those when we get to them. Okay. Now, finally, the last piece of dealing with moves is that some moves will allow you to mark factions. So if you look at your character sheet, basically with every single one of the factions, there's a little box that can be marked to say that you have sort of checked that faction off. And when you've checked off all 4 factions, you get an advance. And if you look at your character sheet, it'll give you a list of things you can get from advances. Add one to a stat, get a new move, that kind of stuff. So it's basically like leveling up. When you mark all 4 factions, you level up. So think about ways in which you can mark those factions. The primary way is to make a faction move. If you hit the streets with mortality to find your mortal cop buddy who knows something about the supernatural, then that's a mortal move and you get to mark mortality. But if you settle a debt, then the person you settled the debt with, you get to mark their faction. So if Nathaniel calls in a debt on Wesley, and Wesley accepts that debt and says, yeah, I'll do what you want me to do, Wesley marks Knight because Nathaniel's a vampire, and Nathaniel marks Power because Wesley is a wizard. Okay? Questions about advancement before we move on? No? Everybody's good? Okay. Excellent. Thanks, Brendan, for helping us sort that out. So I think before we move on, I just want to know if there's any questions about the situation or setting before we get to our session start move. No?
Should we talk about corruption?
Yes, I'm sorry. That would be great. So there are certain situations in which you might get corruption. Corruption is like a little advancement track of its own, except it's more like a downward spiral than an advancement track. As you mark corruption, when you mark your 5th corruption, you get what's called a corruption advance. It's just like a regular advance. You get a new move. It's pretty cool. The moves are like awesome and fun and powerful, except a lot of them ask you to mark corruption when you use them. And eventually, if you were to mass up enough corruption, you would actually lose your character. You'd become a threat to the city and a threat to the other players. So it's a little fine balance between having enough corruption to get some cool powers, but not having those cool powers like let you fall to darkness and become the very things that you're trying to fight against, especially for, say, like the hunter, right, who could become just as bad as the vampires he hunts. Okay? Any questions about that? Make sense? Cool, good. There's also intimacy moves and end moves. Intimacy moves happen when you share a moment of intimacy with someone. We'll talk about those if that comes up. And then end moves, if you die, something will trigger. So we'll see if that comes up as well. All right, let's go ahead and jump in. So start of session move. We're going to test out a new start of session move that we're thinking about using for the game. And it basically says at the beginning of every session, choose the player of the character you trust the least to spotlight a faction for your character. And then you get to choose one off a list that we have up here, and that will be available if you're watching the video at the link. One off the list of things below. So let's start with Nathaniel. Nathaniel, who do you trust the least of all the characters here?
I think that's Samuel, because I mean I'm aware he's using me and I'm using him, and we're all using each other, and neither of us trust each other.
Great, great, great. So Samuel, tell us which faction you'd like to spotlight for Nathaniel. You're muted, Chris.
Okay, sorry. Yes, it's spotlight. I think he's the Wild. I think he's something. He's done something, and he's
great, great, great. So Nathaniel, off that list of 4, what do you want from Wild?
From the Wild, let's do. This sounds fun. Learn a rumor about another PC.
Great. Cool. Okay. We'll get to that at the start of play. Samuel, tell us, who do you trust the least?
Difficult question. I think, well, Wesley I get on quite well. I actually sort of like, we hit it off. Nathaniel, actually, I sort of, I know exactly where he's coming from. I know what he is, and he's a vampire, you know, it's not a question of trust. So therefore, clearly it has to be Fiona.
Fiona,
who,
yes.
You know, she's got the info on me, and I can't trust her with it.
That's right. Okay, good. So, Fiona, which faction would you like to spotlight for Samuel?
I think I would actually like to spotlight Power for Samuel.
Great. And Samuel, from Power, what would you like?
I would like to learn. No, I hear about an opportunity involving another PC.
Great. Okay. Wesley, who do you trust the least? I think you muted yourself.
Cool. Interesting. I was testing that because I kept showing my picture, but I had myself muted earlier. Okay. So Fiona, she's cool. We're cool. We're buddies.
Yeah.
And you'd think it would be Samuel, right?
Yeah.
Because I do selling weapons, but honestly, it's Nathaniel because he's kind of a rat. I think.
Yeah, kind of a rat. Yeah.
So I don't. He doesn't know this because I'm pretty clever, but.
Yeah. So Nathaniel, what faction would you like to
Knight.
vote for?
Suffer. Suffer and die.
You would like Knight to be involved. Great. Okay, and what do you want from Knight?
I think I'm going to get an unexpected gift with strings attached because it just happens to me.
Yeah, that's just the kind of thing that happens. Cool. And Fiona?
Now, do I mark Knight? Is that
Yeah,
right?
you mark Knight. It's cool. Like you've cleared Knight. Right?
Okay.
Fiona, how about you?
Clearly Samuel.
Yeah, he's untrustworthy. Samuel, which faction would you like to mark for Fiona? You're muted again, Chris.
You're still muted.
Sorry, damn, wrong button. Let's go for mortality.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. Probably be pissed off now.
And Fiona, what do you want for mortality?
I think that I would like to learn a rumor about another PC.
Groovy. Okay. So, I like to do these as sort of like voicemails or emails or other various transactions and texts.
Okay, text sounds good.
Text. Yeah, totally, yeah. So let's start with Nathaniel. So Nathaniel, if I read you correctly, you're not super close to Wild. You don't know a ton of people over there. But you spend time in clubs. It's fairies spend time in clubs.
Yeah.
And you hear a rumor that Wesley has an object that the Raven craves. And you begin maybe an inquiry or two about how likely it would be for you to get people in there. And you're like, in where? I don't even know what I'm talking about. Like, but like they're sort of like interested in something Wesley has, and that the Raven might decide to try to take it. Okay. Samuel, you hear about an opportunity with another PC. There's the faction of Power. Sort of floats around. They think your war with the vampires mostly is pretty stupid. Like they're not interested in engaging you very much. But you do have a wizard who stops by. And actually, real quick, Wesley, just so we're clear, are there like orders of wizards, or like do you not like are you kind of an upstart, or like how does it work?
I think there is. I'm pretty sure one guy was talking about a white tower thing.
Sure.
Tried to follow it. It's like a whole lot of jargon.
Whole lot of jargon. Great, good. So a woman named, Yolanda Diaz stops by your shop, Samuel, and shops for some things, buys a couple things. She's very wealthy. You know that she has something to do with the Power faction. You know that she's a wizard of some sort, and she just sort of idly makes mention that Fiona has been digging around some of her holdings and asking questions around some of the people that work for her, and that if you were interested in possibly helping her deal with such a problem, she would be interested in talking with you. Not here, of course, but if you wanted to talk at some later date. Okay. Cool.
That sounds cool.
Great. And for Fiona, Wesley, we'll come back to you in a moment. I think we'll probably start there. For Fiona, you get a voicemail or text message or email, whatever fits best for your character. That there's been a lot of that someone is planning well, actually, hold on. Yeah. You get a message from an old girlfriend who you knew from Hopkins, right? Like a good friend, maybe even a roommate, that she's seen Nathaniel around various bars and that he's still there, like sort of, trying to pick up college chicks, and that he's looking a little strung out, and that there are some people who have been following him, and that she's worried about what might be going on with him, and that she thinks he might be on the drugs, right?
Oh.
He might be hooked
Well, then
up.
I'm glad I broke up with him.
Right. Actually, that's the thing. When you get this message, it's like, you totally won the breakup, girl. All he does is hang around these bars and do drugs with people, and you are so much better off for not being with him anymore. It's very much like a "you go, girl" kind of message. But yeah, there's there's this whole thing about people following him around. He's involved in all this bad business, and et cetera, et cetera. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, great. And finally, Wesley. So let's start with you, and today, and we'll see kind of where it goes on a normal sort of Tuesday as night kind of falls, right, and you're getting to the point at which you probably are wrapping up the street magician stuff, so it's getting to be kind of dusk. Where do you go? What do you do? What's a typical day for you?
Oh, well, right now I'm kind of couch surfing. Probably going to head over to Fiona's and throw down some Call of Duty with Holly.
Yeah, okay, cool. So you're sort of bumming around.
Yeah, well, I got to take a shower, so.
Yeah, right, exactly, cool. So so you sort of take public transportation to get to Holly's? Do you have a car?
No. Oh, wait. I don't. Hold on. I'm double checking. I have a scooter, so no, I don't have a car.
You have a scooter. Oh, that's rough. All right, cool. So you head back to where you parked your scooter, and there's a man. He's taller, sort of European-looking, bald, sort of thin, very sort of gaunt features. He is wearing a suit, but it's the least flashy suit you can imagine. It's black, very thin black tie. And you see that his nails are very meticulously cared for, but also painted a relatively dark blue or black. And as you walk up to your scooter, you see he would be leaning against the post or whatever you tied it to if he wasn't taller than the post. The post is kind of a stubby kind of thing, and so he's just sort of standing there waiting for you. And next to him is a very nice car. Like a BMW, like a black BMW. Do you think you might know this person? Would you like to put a name to a face?
You know what? I think I would like to put a name to a face, because if I don't know this person, I may not be going to my scooter.
Yeah, right, exactly. Good. So let's go ahead and have you roll plus faction. This person's from the Wild faction. Let's see if you know anything about it.
I think just knowing it's Wild, I should just go the other way. Okay, I have a +1 with Wild.
Yep.
So I'll be rolling 2d6 and adding on to that. I got a 9.
You got a 9. Awesome. Good. Cool. So if you look at the move, go ahead and read the move for me, so we're all on the same page.
Okay. Now, does that mark a fact? Is that a faction roll?
Totally. Yeah, you mark a faction. You made the roll. Doesn't matter what the roll was. You mark the faction.
Okay. So put a face to the name. On a 10, you dealt with them before. Blah blah blah. On a 7 and 9, you know them only by reputation. The GM. What's a GM? I thought we don't have a GM in this game. I'll tell you what most people know. On a miss, you don't know them, you owe them, but the MC will tell you which.
There we go. Cool. Good.
Right, there
okay. So on a 7 and 9, you know them only by reputation. So this is a man named Akai, and he is, as far as anybody knows, the closest you're going to see to the Raven in person. He is. Nobody's sure if he's like a demon or a fairy. It's not. I mean, if you're in the Wild faction, maybe you'd know, but this guy is her fixer, her #1 person. He has a sort of slight accent, but it's difficult to place. He's extraordinarily polite, but also dangerous. Not necessarily because he's dangerous, but because if you have his attention, you have the Raven's attention. And he says, as you sort of pause, kind of seeing him, he says, Mr. Washington. Yes.
Hello, Akai.
Very slowly and methodically reaches into his jacket, pulls out a set of keys. It has come to my employer's attentions that you do not have transportation befitting your station.
Okay. Yeah, that's probably true.
Kind of looks down at the scooter. How sad? Like on a scale of 1 to sad, how sad is the scooter?
It's like a hand-me-down Vespa. So
Oh,
yeah.
it's rough, right? Yeah. It almost pains him to see the scooter itself, right? Oh, nothing is of course free, but
Yeah.
such a vehicle would be useful to you guys.
Are we talking about the Beamer?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Okay. What what do you need?
So he's inscrutable in the sense that he's a professional, but you can try to get a read on him. Would you like to try to figure him out and see if you can kind of get a read on like maybe what he wants or what he's here for?
I think I would. Is that another faction or no? That's not
No.
a faction. Is it?
Nope, not at all, right? Because you're gonna like get a read on who this person is. So we have a move called Figure Someone Out, which is designed to kind of say, why are you here? What do you want? Like, what are you looking to get out of this, right? It's a little bit like a read on somebody from Apocalypse World. So you're gonna get a hold, and you can spend the hold as you go through the conversation. So it's a great way to kind of open up a conversation, especially with an NPC.
Great.
Right?
I'll open it up with a miss now. As I roll these dice, I just feel it. I feel it coming. I have
There you
a
go.
one in mind. Here we go. Oh yeah, I called it.
It's a miss. There you go. That's a 6. Okay, great. You realize that you have done something, and you don't know what it is, to attract the Raven's attention, and that there is very little chance that you're going to get out of this like scot-free, right? This is not about whether he's clearly not here to hurt you, right? Because if you want to do that, he would have done that. He's not going to play games with you, right? He's not going to mess. He doesn't have time for that shit, right? But yeah, you have caught the Raven's attention in a serious way, and you're not sure exactly what you did, but now you're in it, and that's just how it's going to be until it's over.
Okay. What do you need, Akai? What can I do for you?
He sort of takes a step backwards and motions at the Beamer, and he walks towards it, and his hand just sort of drifts up the hood to the door, and he presses the button, and it has this just perfect beat, like boop, boop. And he reaches down and with his long fingers opens the door, and you can see the interior of the car. It's kind of getting dusty. You can see it. It's a beautiful fucking car. He says, "You have many things, yes, in your
Sure.
shop."
I have some things. Is there something particular that you were after?
No, of course not. We are just interested in things, generally things, yes.
Okay. I'm a little confused.
My employer is willing to make you a deal. You take the car now, and tomorrow she will stop by. And just take one of these things, anyone that she finds interesting. We've heard you have many interesting things. And we are interested in seeing both of you be provided with what would be fitting of a wizard of your capacity. And you're interested in having one less thing, yes? Just one.
That one thing is not my life?
No, just an object. Some object. We'll see what you have that is of interest to us. Not your ring. Like he kind of motions as you, like you're, like you're sort of like playing with. Like he's like nothing that is intrinsic to you. Just something in your, some relic you may have found. Something that we find interesting. That she finds interesting.
I'm interested, Akai. Why don't so wow, I get to meet the Raven? That's pretty cool. I will see her at the shop tomorrow, and I'll do everything I can to make sure she's happy.
That sounds excellent. And he holds the keys up.
And once I've made her happy, I'll take those keys.
No, no, no. It's not how it works. It'd be rude for me to return the car. Certainly, she would take that as a sign of great. It's the word I'm looking for. Rejection.
Oh, that's not my intent. That's. Oh God. Thank you very much, Akai.
He seems extraordinarily pleased that you have taken the keys, and smiles broadly, raises his hand, and you see a car come around the corner like an SUV, something big, black, kind of intimidating. And you see that there's these two guys driving it that both look like they weigh like 500 pounds, just like enormous freaking guys. And like the door opens, the back door opens, and Akai says, "Tomorrow, young wizard, tomorrow, yes." And then gets like sort of folds himself up to get in the car, and the car speeds off.
That's so screwed.
All right, let's cut over to the vampire and perhaps the hunter, and then we'll jump back to, I think you'll probably arrive at Fiona's without any further complications, right? After this point, but let's see. So Nathaniel, pretty much it's night, early evening. Where are you at? And it sounds like probably Samuel might be with you.
Sure.
But like where are the two of you to be found?
We're at a club.
No. I think we'll go for some food. We'll go some really posh, stylish hipster type restaurant, which is
Oh, that's great.
only serves mussels and asparagus or something like that. I mean, this restaurant's been open 3 days. It's going to be open for another 2 days at most. So
Yeah.
Get your muscles
so,
I can.
Yeah, and I'm eating, of course. I do this deliberately, knowing that it's not what he needs. I'm yanking his chain here.
Yeah. Good. So there's this is sort of your ritual, right? It's like first you go to a restaurant, then you go, and like the whole time Nathaniel's kind of like,
all right, are we ready to go?
Out of here. Yeah, yeah.
Check.
Yeah,
It'd be great.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we see like the waiter drops off your food. It's like a very small plate for Nathaniel, and then like a rather large plate of robot, like lots of mushrooms. For some.
Seriously, you order that much, you never eat that much. God damn it.
Yeah, well, I like to admire my food, but chef put so much effort into it. I mean, and the smell. I mean, look at just how they are made.
for eating.
Sorry, I've got. Hang on, I've got to send this on Instagram. Click.
Right. So the restaurant only has a couple of other people in it. It's actually it's like between the like night shift of people who ate before they went out and the night shift of people who are going to be coming in after the club or whatever, or after they've gone to the club or whatever first, right? For at least a little while. And in strides, what you two are sort of like Nathaniel sort of like lounging back in the chair, trying to pass the time, right? In strides one of the vampires that you've been hunting recently, Samuel. So what kind of vampires do you make a priority?
Oh, the ones who are really sort of like just reckless, and will just drink blood and kill anybody. I mean, they're my top priority ones.
Okay,
because,
cool.
Because I've got a grudge against them for some reason.
Yeah, great. So this is a vampire who like is starting to kind of like lose control, right, and attract a lot of attention. Awesome, good. So we'll say this vampire's name is Ginger, and she's kind of got this like punk rock vibe. She's difficult. She's darker skin, not clear exactly what she is. She might actually be native, like she's like Native American. She's kind of like she's got like a mohawk that's cut. And her hair is dyed sort of pink or blue. I mean, it's a combination of both, sort of folded over. And she walks in and she basically just grabs a menu and like just takes it from somebody, right? And she's like looking at it and she like throws it to the side. And she's got like two guys that are with her. Like, do vampires? Nathaniel, do vampires travel together in packs, or is it more like they have ghouls and like humans that kind of hang on with them?
I think it sometimes varies based on the vampire. If you can hunt better in a pack, then you hunt better in a pack. But a lot of the times you'll have just mortal hangers on anyway.
Cool, good. So yeah, there's these two guys. You're guessing, Samuel, they're probably mortals. You're not sure exactly. But like, let's do this. So if you've been hunting this person, putting a name to a face seems to make sense to me. Like, you don't know them super well. You don't have a relationship with them. So why don't you put a name to a face for Knight?
Okay. So yeah, that's a move, isn't it?
Yep, it is. It's one of the basic moves.
Okay. So roll with a faction. This faction is Knight, isn't it?
Yep.
So it's 2d6 plus 2 because that's my Knight. That's icon.
You know the Knight faction really well. You're really familiar with them.
Okay, I rolled 8 and I'm plus 2, aren't I? So 10.
10, yep. So on a 10, you can either learn something interesting about them or they'll owe you a debt. It's your pick.
I want to learn something interesting about them in that a time and place where they're going to be alone is what I'm interested in.
All right. So yeah, right. You want to pursue your hunt, right? So Ginger has this way of going about doing what she does, which weirdly actually isn't that different from the way that you go about doing what you do. Which is she'll roll into a place, she'll attract a lot of attention, she'll find some guy or girl who's interested in her, and bring that person to the back, like, go to the bathroom, do some drugs, and then let's have a little emotion, drinking, sex. And then if that person doesn't come back, it's not really her problem, right? Like that, she can just sort of walk away, right? Very similarly to you. So you know that she's probably scoping the place out, looking for someone to take to the back. All you have to do is wait, and she might expose herself.
Oh, I'll kick Nathaniel under the table and say, you know what, I fancy some dessert tonight.
Oh my God!
Great. So Nathaniel, why don't we have you make the same roll, right? Because you're going to put a name to or a face to a name anyway, or name to a face here as well, right? You see her come in. So am I to assume that's a miss?
That is a plus night is 2, so 6. Yep.
6. Okay, great. So that's a miss. You either don't know her or you owe her. I think the first is pretty unlikely. Why do you owe Ginger a debt?
Why do I owe Ginger a debt?
What did she do for you lately?
Sure. Yeah, so I'm still young enough to make stupid goddamn mistakes, right?
Right.
So she actually covered for me. I awkwardly stumbled onto another vampire's, like, the major territories, and I got caught. And they were like, so we're going to kill you now. And she actually paid for me. She basically paid the debt, which I think in that case was she handed over some mortal who actually fit the specifications that the ruler of that area wants.
Oh.
On my behalf.
Great.
Made me feel all dirty inside.
Yeah, great. So she bailed you out. That's good. So yeah, when you see her walk in, you realize that the person that Samuel's hunting right now is somebody you owe.
Yeah.
What do you do?
Samuel, though, can we just leave? Can we? I mean, like, look, we can get it to go. We can get dessert to go. That'd be great. That'd be fine. You can eat it on the way.
No. There's no rush. Clubs are open all night. What's the hurry? Come on. It's not like you're going to turn into a pumpkin at midnight, is it?
Well, how do you know? Maybe I will.
Well, in which case, let's find out. Let's sit here and wait.
God damn it, Samuel! I'd really, really appreciate leaving.
We're not going anywhere.
Okay, so let's flag something here, right? So there are no mechanics for resolving a conflict between player characters, right? There's one thing is, yeah, you can just leave the conflict where it is and sort of just go along, or one of you, like I think in this case Nathaniel, right, could cash in the debt. You could say, like, look, dude, like you owe me for shit. Let's get out of here. Like, I'm cashing in a debt. So
it's just really terrible that I don't have one to cash in.
Oh, too bad. So on the other hand, Samuel could very much cash in the debt and say, you owe me for this. You're going to sit your ass right here in the seat until this gets taken care of.
Oh yes, I'm doing that. Yeah, I'm saying, like, look, if you want to get your rocks off tonight, you're sitting here.
Perfect. Okay, great. So when someone cashes in a debt, they make it clear what debt they're referencing. You owe me for all the times that I've helped you out, right?
Yeah.
If you want to get your rocks off, you can just sit your ass right in the seat. And what happens there is you can cash in a debt to do a couple different things. You can cash in a debt to have them do you a moderate favor, lend a hand or get in the way, which is like aiding and interfering, answer a question, give you a debt they hold on someone else. This seems to me like a favor at a pretty moderate cost. Like, stay here and wait while I take care of this business, even though it's uncomfortable to you, even though it might put you in a problem, right? So that leaves the player that you called in the debt on, that you cashed in the debt on, with a choice. Do you want to accept the debt and have Chris mark it off Samuel's sheet, or Nathaniel, do you want to refuse to honor the debt and make a roll to see how effective you are at refusing?
You're a jerk.
Yeah.
All right. I'll sit here and I'll honor the debt. I will be like, please, just do it quickly.
Great, good. Okay, so we're gonna cut away from here, right? Because we'll cut back later. But like, yeah, you just smile, right? And then like another little side item comes, like your flash fried okra with
God damn it.
tartar gravy, right? So it shows up as well, right? And you just sort of smugly smile, right? And off screen we hear Ginger like yelling at somebody, right? Like she's already doing her thing. Okay, good. All right, so Fiona, are you at home at a typical night? Like, where would Wesley find you, or would you be out?
I think I'm out weekend nights. Home usually weeknights.
Cool.
Yeah. So what do we say?
What's a
Tuesday?
Tuesday?
I'm home.
Yeah, it's like a Tuesday. Yeah. So Wesley bangs on your door on Tuesday after dark.
Wesley, what are you doing here?
Check this out. Come outside. Come on. You gotta see this.
Okay. What do you have keys for?
Where's Holly? She's gotta see this too.
Oh, she's taking a shower.
Okay. Well, come on. You gotta see this. It's sweet.
So you have like a second story apartment, right? So like you can come out to the balcony, like you can come out to the little railing with the stairs.
Yeah.
And yeah, when Wesley hits the button, you see this beamer down there on the street, like its lights flash.
What the hell did you do to get that?
I sold something that I got for a song.
What do you have to sell that's worth a car like that?
Stuff. The stuff. The stuff
Right.
that,
The serious
the flea
stuff.
market.
Sure.
Dumpster diving, tag sale stuff. There's great stuff out there. It's an American thing. I know you don't really get it.
Yeah, I don't get digging around in the trash. That's a real insult. Thanks, Wes.
Good thing. Why would you want to dig around in the trash, Fiona? I mean.
Well, apparently because in the trash is cars.
Yeah. So the thing is, have you ever heard of the Raven?
I've heard of them. I don't know any.
It's a her.
It is.
I have confirmation.
Oh.
She's gonna come and take
From who?
whatever it is she wants, and she heard there's a guy named Akai.
Oh.
And
What do you mean she's gonna take whatever she wants?
Because the way it was. So here's the deal. She's got this guy who looks like. You remember the medieval thing, the rack, right? Where they like stretch a person out, like stretch Armstrong type thing, This guy's totally been stretched, and he's all super tall, like Lurch from Munsters kind of thing. And he comes rolling up and says, "Here is a beamer for you, because the Raven wants something that you have." And I tried to corner him, like because they do the. You know about fairies, right? Like don't get into
I
a
know
deal with
about them.
and
I haven't met any in the city.
Exactly. What? I'm sure you have. None?
No.
Okay, so he mentioned Akai. Do you want to try to think back?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. You've heard of this guy before, right?
So this is wild, right?
Yeah,
It's
totally.
not gonna end well for me. 8, 7.
That's not bad. That's not bad.
Actually, okay.
That's okay. Yeah. So you've like maybe seen this guy. You've certainly heard about him. Like you've heard of the Raven before. This is his fixer. Somebody who goes, or her fixer, their fixer. This person goes around and settles things. Yeah, like takes care of stuff. So yeah, I mean, like his story lines up. Like if the Raven was to send somebody, she would send a Kai, and that's what a Kai looks like.
So you said the Raven's coming to your shop?
Yeah.
Can I come?
Oh, I don't know, Fee. That's kind of.
Oh, come on. Every single time your mom comes into town, or your mom comes up and visits, I sit there on the couch next to you, and I pretend. Come on. I'm totally cashing in a debt.
Yeah, sounds like you're cashing in a debt, yeah.
And your mortality, right?
Yeah.
So if I accept that debt, we're gonna.
Oh yeah, don't forget you too. The other guys. Make sure you mark off debts or mark off factions for both. You get to mark Knight, Samuel, and Nathaniel. You get to mark mortality.
Okay. All right. No pictures, right? Please. She's pretty secretive. No pictures?
Just one, please.
If she agrees to it?
Oh, I don't want her to know I'm there.
What? You're not going to come in as my girlfriend? Come on.
Oh, no.
Oh, man. You drive a hard bargain, Fee. Whatever.
Well, I don't know anything about her.
I don't know you're there. If you're not going to pose my girlfriend, then I don't know you're there. You just, some
I'm just shopping.
Fish.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Are you curious at all about why she might be doing this, Wesley? Is this something you might want to puzzle her out for to see what her motives are? Or do you not care? Are you like, yeah, whatever. She cashed in a debt. I'm good.
No, I do want to know why she doesn't want to pose as my girlfriend. No, wait. I want to know what she wants out of this.
Yeah.
No,
So let's see. Yeah. So mind, roll with mind.
Yeah, okay. I was just trying to look up the thing. I have a 1 in mind, so let's see. It feels like it's going to be a pretty good roll. I lied. It's not going to be a good roll. How about I do 2d6? So I'll just do one more d6 to append at the end here. That was a 2. Oh, okay, and then 2d6 comes out now. So a 2 plus 6 plus 1 is 9.
Cool, good. So you get to ask one question. Interfering here wouldn't help anything, Fiona. You can't bring him below a 7. So let's go ahead and ask her one question. Or sorry,
I get 2, and she
get
holds
2.
1 on me.
She gets 1. Yep. So which what would you like to ask here, Wesley?
So you seem to know this Akai. Fee, what are you worried about happening here?
Okay. So what are you worried might happen? And you do have to answer honestly,
right?
Even if it's out of character, right? You can say, oh, she just kind of looks as if she's concerned about. Right?
So I, as a player, answer honestly, or Fiona answers honestly?
You, as a player, answer honestly. You can represent that however you want.
Okay. Well, she's really worried about the Raven actually coming in, because the Raven has like a giant reputation. She's the only member of Wild and Akai that I've ever heard about, and it tends to be if she comes down off of her tower or perch or whatever, whoever she interacts with dies. So I'm either worried that Wes is going to die, or I'm worried that he will be recruited into her nefarious plans.
Do you actually say that you're worried about him dying?
No.
Good. So you just know, Wesley, that she's concerned.
I'm worried about you.
Yeah, worried about you. Right. But she's playing it cool. She doesn't want to get involved.
Trying to, yeah.
Playing it cool. Okay, good. You have another question for her?
Let me think about it. She's got a question on me, right?
Yep. Fiona?
Mm-hmm. What is your character hoping to get from me?
In regards to this, I just want you to play along and not get me in trouble. I'm already in trouble.
I think she's asking, why did you come here tonight, though, right? Why?
Yeah.
What are you hoping to get? Why come here and tell me? What are you hoping to get from me?
Yeah, why tell me about this car and gloat about it?
Why are you getting me involved in this to begin with?
Totally trying to impress you.
Okay, good. So yeah, you realize that Wesley had no reason to come here. You have nothing to offer him, but he's really trying to impress you and win you over. Cool. And your last question, Wesley?
Yeah, so why do you care so much about seeing the Raven? I mean,
So what are you hoping to get from the Raven?
Kind of small. No offense. No offense.
Yeah.
It's kind of small scale, and being on her radar is not a good thing.
I just want to know more about her. It's so like secretive, and so far I haven't been able to get any information on her and her whole sort of empire or whatever. It's like a thing I can't do, so now I have to do it.
Okay. I see. I thought you were after the roommate thing, and I was like, please don't Veronica Mars this up.
That's a great thing. Please don't Veronica Mars this up. That's good times. Okay, great. As you're sort of like have this weird moment where you're sort of like looking at each other, kind of puzzling each other out, and like it's kind of maybe turning into something, but like neither one of you really wants to admit it.
Totally.
Like Holly comes up the stairs, and she's carrying like a bunch of groceries, and she's sort of like kind of having a little difficulty getting up, and as she's doing so, this man runs past her like jogging up the stairs. Right, you see her like maybe at the bottom, right, jogging down the stairs, and bumps her, and he's like, I'm sorry, and like keeps running right up the stairs. And like groceries go everywhere, and you see that this guy is somebody, Fiona, that you have dealt with a couple of times in your search for Maria. It's actually Maria's boyfriend, and he when she disappeared, he actually was very as concerned as you are, very 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 upset that she's gone, and his name is Theo, and he's Baltimore local. Black guy, young, in school, just like Maria was, and not particularly also beloved by her parents. He's black, she's Hispanic. They never said anything, but like they were not super excited about that. Felt she should find herself somebody more like her, right? And you see him running up the stairs towards you as Holly is like struggling to deal with the groceries. What do you do?
Like I'm like, oh Holly, I'm sorry, and like I start walking down towards, and I'm like, Theo, what the hell?
Right, he grabs you, right, and is like, I think I found her. I think I know where she went.
Oh my God, how did you find her?
He's like, he looks at Wesley, like kind of concerned. Wesley, do you want to try to put a face to a name here and see, or name to a face and see if you know this kid?
Yeah, sure.
Sure. Okay. Roll with mortality.
All right. I need to look up what I used to be mortal. I got a 1 in that, so yep. I will roll. I got an 11.
Boom. Okay. So, would you like to learn something interesting and useful about Theo, or do you want him to owe you a debt?
I want him to owe me a debt. That sounds awesome.
Cool. So yeah, you actually bailed this kid out a little while ago with some trouble he ran into on the streets, probably with somebody nasty. What kind of trouble did you bail him out of?
So he got mixed up with the Wild faction, and I never told him.
Yeah.
But
there was
just
try to get him out.
Really minor demon guy.
Good. So he's snooping and led to some. And he looks at you like, "What? Fiona, do you know this guy? What?"
Yeah. Do you know him?
Yeah. What did you do exactly to get him out from this demon?
As far as he knows, the demon just stopped showing up.
He's like, yeah, he got me out of some shit, and look, I don't know. I mean, he seems like a nice guy, but is he safe? And you hear below, like Holly, like trying to scrape up like a mayonnaise jar that's like.
Hey Theo, why don't we help out Holly real quick? And
we don't have time. We don't have time. Maria, like I know where she is. I saw her go into a club, and like she was with that guy that you were telling me about that he might that maybe he might.
Okay, I'm coming, Holly. I'm really sorry. I'll pick up the groceries next time. I mean, I'll pay for them next time. I'm really sorry. I gotta go.
Okay, so Theo and you start to like walk down the stairs, right? Wesley, what do you do?
Do you need some help?
Holly's like just looks kind of furious and just glares at you and like watches.
Oh no, I know you need help, but just Fiona, are you okay?
You're not even talking to Holly. That's amazing. Holly's like, yes, I could absolutely. And you're like, I'm not even talking to you.
Now I'm coming down the stairs. Of course I'm going to try to help Holly, but I'm taking off and Fiona's running off into some craziness.
I'm always running off into craziness.
Yeah, do you invite him along? Like, is it clear that he can hop in the car with Theo too?
It's
what does
perfectly
Theo think
okay
about
either
him?
way. I'm sorry, which way? Yes, no?
I was gonna say, what does Theo think about him?
Theo's like, yeah, dude, like if you like Theo trusts him. Theo's like,
Okay.
if you're cool with him, like he can come.
Yeah.
I don't care.
All right, cool. Yeah.
I mean, maybe there might be some wacky stuff like he could help with, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, cool. Good. All right. You're gonna have to mark corruption because you have ignored your moral responsibilities for your roommate, and you're drifting a little further from your mortal life. So as they haul off towards the bar, let's cut back to our two dining companions and see where they are. So Samuel, the meal was excellent. The finest artisanal mushrooms that you can imagine purchasing in the city of Baltimore.
I'll sort of be making sure I sort of sitting there updating Yelp or whatever, giving a restaurant review.
Right, like the most pretentious thing you can be doing, exactly. And you see out of the corner of your eye that Ginger has managed to corner one of the wait staff who's just getting off duty, and they're sort of laughing, and she's sort of like punching him and like being kind of like rough with him, and he's like into it, and she kind of nods to go back to the back, and you're sort of watching them, and they stand up and head out. So you see them sort of drifting towards the back as this like restaurant started to fill up with people who have done their hour at the bar and realized they were hungry. So what do you do?
I sort of glance over to her two companions she came in with, make sure they're just sitting there doing nothing interesting, and I'll be back in a moment. Nathaniel, I've just got to pop to the ladies' room. Sorry, gentlemen's room.
Oh God.
Yeah. So the two guys who are with her, they actually seem to be sort of keeping an eye on the back hallway, right? So there's like this one room that's like maybe like the kitchen and everything. And then there's a hallway next to it that goes back to the bathrooms, which are around the corner. And the two guys, one of them sort of taken his chair and set it so that like you'd have to squeeze right by him to get to the hallway, and it looks like they're kind of keeping an eye out.
Is he human? Did we establish?
You probably need to get a little closer to him, or you could try to let it out. And letting it out is really simple and easy for something like a werewolf, right? A werewolf is like, let it out means like, oh, I like the wolf like comes out of me kind of thing. But for the hunter, it can mean that you get like focused, right? Like you turn on hunter vision, and you are like super dialed in. Okay. And so if you look at the move, let it out, what you're gonna do is you're gonna roll with spirit, and what's gonna happen is if you get a hit, you get to pick one of the four options off the list. Take +1 forward. Learn something useful or interesting about your situation, right? That's the one that you want. Take something exposed. And what this is that you're going beyond what normal mortals can do, right? And you're pushing yourself to be able to really like zero in on this guy. Okay?
Okay, that sounds good to me. Yeah, so it's 2 dice, and my spirit is -1, so this doesn't look good. Oh, yeah, a big fat 3. I get my game face on. Unfortunately, it's probably Pac-Man or some Monopoly.
No, remember, you're not failing, right? It's a miss, not a fail, right? So first of all, you sort of like flex, take your jacket off so it doesn't get ruined, right? Put it back there. You sort of look around, totally mortal, totally human guys. But as you're like looking you see two more vampires enter the bar, right? And you're not sure what that means to your hunt yet, right? But you recognize one of them immediately as Ash, right? And Ash's sort of newest lackey, companion, junkie, hanger-on, Jensen. So, do you have a relationship with Ash, Samuel? Like, have you met her before, or is she kind of a distant person we want to put a name to a face for?
I think, yeah, I probably know who she is just vaguely because of Nathaniel, but no real connection. She doesn't hugely interest me. She's a bit of a jerk. But,
so you're just like, whatever, I don't care. I'm focused on my hunt.
Yeah.
Right? All right.
Yeah.
But you see that there's some vampires that enter the bar. Nathaniel, you see Ash, and of course you have a pretty serious relationship with Ash already. But do you want to put a face to a name for Jensen? Do you recognize Jensen?
Yeah, let's do that. Oh, shit. Okay. All right, good. Okay. Looked like everything froze for a second. 2d6, and then this is plus my dark, right? Which is, or night.
Plus your night,
yep. Saying dark. So it should be a 9 total.
So you know that Jensen is her newest you, right? The newest guy that she picked up along the way. He's a brand new vampire. He's like everything you're not, right? So he's like muscular and like athletic and like not very smart, but like kind of like punchy, right? And he comes in and he's like, pushes some dude like, get out of the way, huh? And like Ash comes in, and Ash I imagine being like a Helena Bonham Carter kind of thing, right? Like she's like beautiful and sort of mysterious and a little crazy, right? And she just sort of smirks and like gets her menu, and you realize that this bar is sort of like filling up with vampires. So Samuel, are you just on mission, or are you gonna like head back that direction?
Oh yeah, I'm totally on mission. I was looking at the sort of like mislead, distract, or trick.
Totally.
Thing. So yeah, my plan is I'm going to go up to this sort of guy who's blocking the way, and because I pass as a vampire, I'm going to lean over him. So you've got to watch those two, pointing at Ash and the other guys come in.
That sounds beautiful. Good. That sounds great. So you stand up to do that, and it's going to take you a little while to kind of work your way through the crowd. So Nathaniel, what do you do? Like you got Ash and Jensen coming in one door. You see Samuel kind of pursuing his hunt down the hall. What's your plan?
Somewhere between hunker down and hope no one notices me, and
well, do you want to? Are you gonna like basically take his coat and kind of like pull it over yourself and like try to like just shrink into the corner? Okay, good.
Yeah,
cool. So that sounds like a mislead, distract, or trick too.
Oh, good.
Targeted towards Ash, right? You're trying to just disappear and not show up.
This is not gonna work. All right, I'm rolling at +0.
Okay, so it's a 6. You could help him, Samuel, if you wanted to. Do you have any interest in helping him?
No. I let him get in his own trouble.
Nathaniel, do you want to cash in a debt to get him to? Oh wait,
I don't have one.
You have nothing.
You are a bitch.
I mean, you could say. I mean, it could be that if he helped you, you could basically give him a debt. This might be a time for you to step up and get a debt if you're interested in helping someone. But it might expose you to cost, complication, and harm. So if you're on mission, just like screw him.
No, I'm on a mission.
You're on mission. Okay, great. So
I'm going to kill Nathaniel one day.
Yeah, exactly right. So yeah, you put on the coat and kind of try to like shrink down, right? And as Samuel pulls around to the other side, you feel this little tap on your shoulder as you're trying not to look, and you look and there's Ash, and she says, "Are you so embarrassed of me that you try to hide when I show up? Is that how little you care about me?"
No, that's not it. No. I saw somebody else here, and I hope they didn't notice me. No big. Hi, Ash.
All right. So Samuel, you look behind you, you see that Ash has just made a straight beeline to Nathaniel, and it's just probably going to make his life really difficult. But you're on target, and you lean in, and you're going to try to distract these guys. Go ahead and make your roll with mind.
Okay, 2 dice. I'm on +2 for mind. Oh, 10, 12.
12. Boom. Yeah, so you get 3 options. Go ahead and pick them.
So roll person the picks you create an opportunity, expose a weakness, a flaw, confuse them for some time. You avoid further entanglement. I'm going to certainly avoid further entanglement. I'll just breeze past them.
Yep.
I'll
You
create an opportunity.
You might also want to choose confuse them for some time, because the initial on a hit it just confuses them for a few moments, right? So if you want to confuse them into thinking that you're another vampire and you're back there, that's their sort of state of being, that's what you pick.
Yeah, I'm going to sort of confuse them, leave them unsure what to do, because whisper say, I'll watch those the Ash who's just come in, and create an opportunity. I'm actually going to create an opportunity for Nathaniel, just thinking that a bit of trouble in the bar will certainly help cover my actions up.
Well, you actually, I mean, it sounded to me like you want that opportunity for yourself, actually, because you want to get past them without any problems, right? So confusing them into thinking that you're a vampire, totally done. But it's actually the opportunity is for you to slide past them. Is that
that
cool?
works for me.
All right, awesome, good. So you blow past them, and they both are like, oh shit, yeah, like we gotta, and they like both turn their chairs to face Ash, right, and they're like kind of watching, and you just breeze right past them. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So let's cut back to Fiona. I know Rich is out for a minute, but that's fine. He'll be in the back seat, kind of like hanging out. Theo is going on about. Oh, you're back. Awesome, good. So they're kind of going on about this club. He's like, look, all I know is that I've been watching this guy for a while, and he met up with this woman. She looks just like Maria, and they went into this club together. And I think it's her.
Well, if she's in the city, why isn't she coming to see us?
I don't know. Maybe
That's
he
weird, isn't it?
Yeah, it's totally weird. Like maybe he's threatening her. Like you said that maybe he gets really like maybe he's a werewolf, right? Like so like maybe like something's going on.
You don't think he could have turned her into one, do you?
I don't even know what that means. Like I don't even know how that works, right? And you all are parked across the street from the club, right? And he's got like these little binoculars, right? And he's looking through the binoculars, and he's like, there, and he like pushes them into your hands to look.
Yeah. And like I totally look for him, and it's, oh my God, it's Maria. Yeah,
you look through the binoculars, right? And Wesley, you're kind of sitting there like, why do these people care so much? You're like a little confused as to the level of drama. But you see them sort of walking from one club into this artisanal mushroom restaurant, right? Of like and like they're not holding hands, but they're like kind of touchy with each other as if to be a couple, right? A little bit. So Wesley, this guy, he's like he doesn't look particularly large, but he's kind of scruffy. He's got like a big beard and kind of like long hair. White guy, like sort of like dressed in. He's got like a big sweatshirt on and jeans. Do you want to put a name to a face and see if you recognize him? You're muted, brother. Oh no.
Yeah, we can't hear you.
We can't hear you.
Can't hear you still.
No, I don't know what's happened.
Did you turn your mic off?
Something's gone terribly awry.
Oh no.
You might have to come on and come back in. Let's go to Jen then and have
test.
Yeah.
Oh, you're back now. Yay.
Cool. Okay, yes,
All right,
I would very much like to put a name to a face here, which is rolling with mind.
Night. It's rolling with night.
Knight, you're right, because it's a faction move. Oh, yep. This guy's Knight. Oh, I've already marked Knight, because somebody made me do it to start off with. All right, my Knight is a 1?
Yep.
-1?
-1. Not focusing on clearly.
That would be a 6. Can you help me out?
No helping with faction rolls.
Oh, that's not good.
That's good. So you just don't know him. Like you've never seen this guy before. Maybe he's a werewolf. Maybe he isn't. You don't know. Okay.
He's a werewolf, I think, guys.
Yeah. Right. Wesley, you actually marked mortality for Theo.
Yes, I did. I didn't mark it in the doc. I was marking it on paper. Sorry.
And there you go. You You get. Oh, you have to get power to get in advance. Okay, cool. So you, you don't know. You sort of mutter something. I probably told the werewolf, right? And you see them walk, like kind of get in line. Like this sort of artisanal mushroom bar is getting kind of crowded, and they sort of like push their way in to the line. So Fiona, what do you do?
Theo, have you been watching her for a while? Has she? I mean, did you just see her today? How did you find her here?
This is the first time I've seen her. I've just been following this guy, and everywhere I go, he seems to go places by himself. But today, he met up with her outside the club. They went inside. That's when I went and came and got you.
Well, let's go talk to Maria. I mean, what else are we gonna do?
Do you think we should? Like maybe.
Well, I mean, we're gonna be in a restaurant. What's gonna happen, right?
You see that he looks like a little bummed out, and he kind of like breaks down a little bit and is like, "Look, Fiona, she's clearly with that guy, so maybe I should just let it go." Huh?
Well, don't you still want to know what happened to her? Why she just abandoned us for 6 months?
I think it's pretty clear what happened, werewolf or not.
Well, I want to know, so I'm going in there.
Yeah, well, maybe I've seen everything I need to see. Huh?
Theo, man, you can hang out here. I'll go in with Fee.
Yeah, I don't want to leave you stranded here without a ride. If you want to go in, that's cool. But I think maybe I'm out. Okay.
All right.
Man. Threw Holly's groceries to the floor, and now you're bailing. Kind of harsh, Theo.
Yeah, so you get out of the car.
It was Maria's boyfriend, not mine.
Right, it's not your problem, right? Like you get out of the car, you walk across the street, and you see this. They're sort of like in the restaurant, but like kind of only half in. If you stand on the step, you could probably talk to them.
Oh yeah, I'm totally doing that thing.
Okay.
Maria, is that you?
She turns and looks at you, and you see that she's kind of like taken aback,
Mm-hmm.
and then she's like she turns away, like she doesn't know you.
Maria, it's Fee. What's going on?
She just kind of like turns her body so that she's like she's behind the dude, right? She like turns her body so that she's kind of like blocking you. Like you would probably have to do something. So let me cut over to them while you kind of think about what you might want to do to push her. All right, so Samuel, you come to the ladies' room, right? The door. You're standing outside the door. You hear inside some potentially carnal / feeding noises, right? And you hear the water running, trying to cover them up. But it's pretty clear that something's going on inside. What do you do?
I'm very quietly slip through the door.
Okay, cool.
I'm relying on the fact that they're going to be distracted. I'm going to sort of slip in and hopefully she'll have her back to me. And I'm sort of move up casually, you know. I just imagine they're sort of like, you know, they're probably in one of the cubicles, but the door's open.
Sure. So let's do this. You're going to need to keep your cool, right, because things have gotten real. You're going to need to keep your cool to slip into this room with this vampire. So first, before you roll, tell me what you're hoping to avoid here.
I'm hoping to avoid getting noticed until I put the garrote around her neck.
That sounds good. Yeah, cool. So this isn't like a mislead, distract, or trick, because you're not actually trying to get her attention. You're trying to just be cool and like slide in and like do this before she can get around. Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
Okay, so that's keep you cool is a spirit roll.
Except for you have Slayer, so it's actually blood for you because you're
that's
on a hunt.
good.
Yeah.
That's very good. Okay, so 2 dice plus 2 is... Ooh, fuck. 6.
6. This is no good, right? And since you left Nathaniel in the dust, right, it's not going to happen. So you open the door, right, and like try to like you start to slip in, and this enormously powerful hand just grabs you by the hair and like pulls you in and shuts the door, and then like throws you against the wall, right? And you look up and you see the guy she was with already dead, like he's like collapsed in the cubicle behind her, and she's like, oh, you're so fucking stupid. Like, you think I don't know that you're fucking hunting me, right? Okay, so take 1 harm from like being bounced against the wall, and she's like, I'm not an idiot, right? And she grabs this big freaking like machete out of her jacket and just leaps at you. What do you do?
I'm sort of I look at her and say, yeah, you are a fucking idiot. And she sort of does a big over-the-top leap. I just sort of bring up my flick knife and it just clicks open at the last minute, and I just hold it still and she impales herself onto it.
Okay, great, cool. So you're trying to, I think this is probably unleashing. You're trying to like unleash this attack on her, and you're exposing yourself to damage, right? It may be the case that you're hurt even on a 10+, right? Because she's very she's sort of overbearing. Okay, so yeah, go ahead and make your roll.
Okay, so what's this roll on?
Unleash. This is going to be unleash, right? So you're going to roll with blood.
Blood, brilliant. Okay. Oh, that's a bit better. I'm on +2. I don't know if it makes a difference, but I'm using my silvered flick knife.
Yeah. So let's ask the vampire. So how do vampires react to silver, Nathaniel?
Well, I mean, I would imagine he's only carrying it if it actually was effective, because he knows what he's doing in killing vampires. So we probably don't like it. No, it's probably bad.
It's probably real bad.
Yeah, it burns. Burns like a motherfucker.
Okay, great, cool. So this I think I love the phrase "flick knife." That's definitely a British phrase. It's I think in American nomenclature it'd be a switchblade, right?
Oh yeah. Sorry, yeah.
No, that's awesome. I love flick knife. I'm gonna start using it. It's great. So yeah, you like pull it out. And she comes down and like you just sort of like duck under this like huge machete. It goes right through the wall, right? And like tile kind of goes spraying. And vampires are stronger than people, right? So this she delivers a solid blow, but you're not there, and you just bring the switchblade right up into her stomach. And the switchblade would normally be harm 2. I think for vampires it might be a little extra, but more it's just like painful. So what do you want? Do you want to inflict terrible harm or take something from them?
Oh, terrible harm.
Terrible harm.
Isn't something on my Slayer thing where I do extra damage?
Oh, that's right. You also have deadly, if I remember correctly, which means that you're basically doing 4 harm here. Yeah, so 4 harm for our viewers at home is like the equivalent of like getting hit with an assault rifle, right? Like at pretty close range. So yeah, you grab the knife, you bash your hand against the wall until it falls, and you just like sort of bring the knife up, like all the way through her stomach, through her chest, and she's just kind of like in shock as like this silvered blade cuts through her, and she tries to like lean in and bite at you. What do you do?
Stupid motherfucker! Smash her teeth against the bowl, the basin.
Okay.
Just
Cool. So I think you're gonna keep your cool here, right? Like you're trying to just basically shrug her off and not have her do anything, right? So, and you're still on the hunt, so it's still a roll with blood.
Ooh, fuck. 2. I think I'm on +2 for that, but it's not really going to matter.
It's not really going to help, is it? It's the snake eyes. It's the curse, right? So yeah. So you try to like push her off, and instead she just latches onto your neck, right? And take 1 more harm. And you feel her like leeching out your like life, and then you feel her trying to like push something back inside you, and you push her off, and she kind of like shudders and stops moving. You pull your knife out, and you feel this sort of pounding headache, and you try to like clean off a little of the blood. There's still definitely some marks there, and you sort of push your way out of the bathroom, confused and dazed.
Definitely turning the collar up.
Yeah, turning the collar up for sure, yeah. Back to Fiona and Wesley. Yeah, Maria's like kind of purposefully ignoring you. What do you do?
I'm actually going to did my homework on the guy that she's with.
Okay, good. Yeah, go ahead and make the roll.
8. What is this? Mind 10.
10. Great. So you know a dangerous secret about this guy.
And I take 1 forward against him.
Yeah, totally. So yeah, he's definitely a werewolf, and he's got like a couple of tattoos and things that you're familiar with from these like werewolf gangs that run around. Yeah, you take a +1 forward against him. What do you do?
I'm getting in his face. I'm like, who the fuck are you? What did you do to my friend?
Awesome, cool. So you're trying to kind of push him a little bit, yeah. Why don't you keep your cool here to kind of get up in his face? What are you hoping to avoid?
I'm hoping to avoid a physical altercation, I guess.
Okay, you kind of want to stun him, but not have it escalate. Great.
Yep.
So go ahead and give me the roll.
3 and 3, because I forgot to clear the other one.
That's okay.
This is spirit.
Yep.
So it's a 5.
Yeah, no good. So he just immediately just grabs you and like sort of lifts you up by your neck and slams you against the wall. And he's like, "Excuse me." Wait, hold on. You take a +1 forward against him. So you're
I did.
Yeah, you're at a 6. Do you want to lend a hand? All right, what do you want to do?
Absolutely lend a hand. Yeah, so when he reaches forward to grab her, I'm just going to kind of stomp on the side of his knee real quick.
Yeah, okay.
Probably miss. I saw it in a movie once. It looked really effective.
Yeah.
Okay, so when I help out, just so I make sure I'm doing, when I roll with their faction, and you are mortal, which is not so great, but at least you're not knight.
The way this works is that it's kind of like how well you know those people. Like you can help them if you know them, but if you don't know them, it's kind of like you're like, I don't know what to do. Do I like shoot at him? Do I not shoot at him? Like what's helpful?
Cool. All right, so 2d6 + 1.
Oh, I have an idea, right? We're both just thinking that we're protecting each other, so I can cash in a debt. Right?
I think he's helping you to do it anyway, right? So save your debts from this does not work, right? So yeah, he grabs you and lifts her up, and then like you try to kick his leg and you just kind of bounces off, and he's like, what the? And just like punches you straight in the face, and then the whole thing explodes into like a bar brawl, right? It's like there's just chaos everywhere. Nathaniel, Ash has taken a seat at your table now. She's picking over like whatever Samuel left behind. And she just looks disgusted and disappointed. I'm disgusted and disappointed.
I can tell.
First, Jensen, get me a drink. The bar brawl breaks out. She's like, first, this place is just awful.
Not my choice of place.
Well, you're here, right? And frankly, if you're here, then it reflects poorly on you. I think we should be clear about that. Now, it's also come to my attention that you're spending a lot of time with people that I don't like. And I talked to you before about how you spend time with people that aren't me and that it is upsetting. Right?
That's interesting. Counterpoint, you don't fucking own me.
No,
you kind of do.
I do. Like I made you. Like, do you want me to? I can call Diego right now and just be like, just like, you know, kill him. I don't care. Like,
No, that's not what I was saying. What I was saying is that if you want me to be of any use to you, if you want me to be anything, then I have to have the ability to become something separate from you and not completely under your control every last minute.
All right, I think this is going to be our last roll of the night. Let's go ahead and have you roll heart to see if you can persuade Ash to get up off of you, or whether she's. Do you want to cash in a debt? Do you want to cash in a debt to make it a +3?
I don't have a debt.
Don't you have a debt over Ash? Oh no, sorry, it was Fiona that you have the debt with. I apologize.
Yep.
You don't have a debt with Ash.
So I'm gonna go ahead and roll. Okay, so that was a 5, but I have that one move that does the thing.
Irresistible.
Yes, that one.
Okay, so you turn 6s into 7 and 9s. So she says, she alters the deal, right? And the deal is, she says, I will get up off you when you bring me someone or something is worth my time. Can you do that for me?
Fine. You want me to find a replacement pet for you? I can find a replacement pet for you.
I have plenty of pets. I want something that ups my station. And at that moment, Samuel comes out of the bathroom, right, past the guards down the hall. Collar turned up. He looks kind of ill, right? And Ash watches him walk up to your table.
Oh, shit. Hey, Samuel.
Give me my fucking jacket back. We're leaving.
Ash looks at him and looks at you and just sort of nods. Awesome. So during this brawl, right, like Fiona, like Maria actually grabs you and drags you aside, and you're just sort of like everybody's sort of punching and kicking, and you sort of get to the point where you have a second to talk, and she looks at you and says, "Please stop following me, please." And then she turns and tries to run. What do you do?
You're muted.
You're muted. You're muted.
I'm gonna run after her.
Okay, cool. I think we'll end there. That's like the end of the first episode, right? Is like you guys are coming out. You see Wesley kind of like trying not to get too beat up by this like crowd of people punching and kicking, and we see Fiona running into the darkness after Maria. Wesley, how would you kind of get out of this? Like, what would be your strategy to kind of like get away from the fight, or would you just like throw yourself into it?
These guys are all supernatural, so I'll just veil.
Great, yeah. So you just
deuces.
punch it, right? Yeah, deuces. You're out, right? And you like on the way home back to your sanctum or like wherever you're going to crash tonight. You're starting to really think about that deal that you struck with the Raven and the Raven coming tomorrow morning. I think that's probably where we pick up next session.
I'll shoot a text to Fiona at the end there. You totally Veronica Mars'd it up. I told you.
I told you. Awesome, good. We're a little over time. Thanks everybody for being patient. This, as you can see, the kind of like way it generates fiction. It's hard to be like, all right, stop right now, because we've got a lot of cool stuff going on. If people can stay for 2 more minutes, it'd be great to get one quick rose and one quick thorn, like one thing you really liked, one thing you wish should have gone differently. Is that cool with everybody? Can we take just 2 minutes to do that? All right, awesome. So, Jen, what was one thing you really liked about today's session? What was one rose?
I really liked like how like we all did deaths on all the PCs and we were so like woven together.
Cool.
That was
good,
cool.
Yeah. Rich, quick rose.
I was worried about, because I like tracking XP, about this whole faction thing, like how are you going to make it work? It felt like it would be forced, but loosening up the depth piece and all the different functions of how you can actually mark faction made it pretty workable. Interesting.
Well, yeah, it's really on me as the MC to give you lots of people to put a face to a name and stuff like that. But yeah, it can work if I'm in on it. Yeah. Chris.
Yeah, I like the fact that the hunter archetype, when it actually came to killing something, I was actually reasonably quite good at it. The things added up. So, I think, and I assume for the rest of the characters it will work the same way. When you get to what the thing you're good at, you are actually good at it.
Yeah, it was great to see you kill that vampire. That was freaking awesome, right? Like, just like one move, gut, done. It was great. Brendan?
I liked how it's sort of the way we did it. We broke out into the individual stories. So like we had like one story and another story going on, but since we knew each other, they sort of intersected at the end. And I could see how moving forward they would have even more intersections as I would go to Wesley and I would be like, so what the hell is Fee doing? And so on and so forth.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, we could see where the next set of scenes would be more like different pairings, right? Yeah. My rose for today was I thought that there was a lot of really good debt caching, which is a little different for players because it's like pushing on other players what you want to have happen, which we kind of don't do in our community all that often. Because we're like, well, if it's cool with you, right? And it's actually here, it's like, no, you got to play hard. And people were pushing, like, I want to be there when the Raven shows up. I want you to do this for me. And it was cool to see that happening. Really loved it. It's good. Quick thorns, thing that you want to see, or even just thing you would want to see more of in future sessions. That might be a fun thing. What would be one thing you'd want to see more of in future sessions? Fiona?
Oh, goodness. More of in future sessions.
Or one thing you'd want to be different from tonight would be cool.
I want to play more than an hour and a half. That's my thorn.
the curse of Powered by the Apocalypse games, as always. Yes. Rich?
The help maneuver of doing it with factions just felt kind of weird. Like, because I like all humans, I know to help. It was just a little funky weird, but I think that's because I have a little bit of that very personal HX, dungeon world, bonds type of stuff. So moving it into that faction felt a little weird.
Sure. Chris?
I think for relatively short, if I was doing it for a single session game, I'd want to see less debts and or faction things, because I had a little bit of trouble tracking, all the different debts we people owe each other and how we all relate to different factions. And for even a con game, a 4-hour con game, I think that would have been a bit too much.
Sure. Cool. And Brendan?
The thing next time, I would really want to see more triangles. They were sort of developing, and by triangles I mean like an NPC who has two different relationships with two different PCs, like that kind of idea. How like Ash showed up, but her primary relationship was with me, but I would love to see her get a relationship with Samuel. And like Maria showed up, but her primary relationship was with Fiona, and I'd love to see her get a relationship to somebody else, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it'd be cool to see like Theo show up and relative to like you in a different context, like he's like looking for drugs or something from people you know. So,
yeah.
Cool. Yeah, my thorn today is actually just like this was really good, like really really good. Like I loved all the characters you guys made, and I wish we were playing again. So maybe we should talk about playing again, because it was really cool to see it. And it always pains me to like build this beautiful thing and be like, fuck it, done. Like knock over that sandcastle, next sandcastle, because it's so beautiful to see it all come together. So that's my sort of rose/thorn. Anyway, thank you all very much. It was awesome, really great to play with you all. And for those of you watching, please subscribe. I think the button's like here or here for you to get more of this information. Like we do all kinds of cool panels and gaming and special events. I think later tonight, Rich is going to be hosting a panel on gaming with kids. It features a lot of great people: Amanda Valentine, John Wick, Shoshana Kessick, others that are going to be here. And we do all kinds of events all the time with Indie Plus. So please subscribe, join our Facebook or Google Plus page where we get out information, and we just would love to have you be a part of our community. And if Rich, you got any other thoughts at the end here?
Oh, well, if you join our Facebook page, then you're just going to see Throwback Thursdays and like pictures of Brendan in high school. Who really wants that?
You want to join the Google Plus page. Cool, good. Okay, thank you all very much. It was a pleasure to play with you. See you soon.
Cool.
Thank you, Mark.